so now I'm going to show you how to pick a really cool color palette, and this is going to be important for two things. One, if you're not a website designer. Okay, if you are a website designer, you already know this stuff. But if you're not a website designer and you've only got a very limited color palette and you now need to add more colors to your palette, I'm going to show you really cool tricks of how to do this quite quickly. Okay, so number one is the color wheel. Well, let's say that your brand has got one or two, maybe three colors. And for the purposes of this website design practice, you might want to add some more. So a very simple way to do this is actually to use what we call the color wheel. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by this. This is a very basic tip. But if you already have two colors, you could copy one color and actually paste it into another swatch. And now you can use the color wheel to slide up and pick a color of the same tone. So now you could repeat this for colors 4, 5, and 6, and just broaden out that palette with a few more colors in the spectrum, and that will keep your colors to the exact same tone. And this means later on, if you use things like gradients, as you've seen before, you've got much more of a chance of those gradients playing nicely together. Now, building on the concept of a color wheel, there are actually websites that generate a color palette for you based on an algorithm around a color wheel. Okay, color wheels are really important for designers. You might have seen in the past designers having color wheels on the table, which is moving circles around to pick colors. Well, there's websites that do that for you, and one of those sites is a website called Coolors, and this is a great resource. I actually use it all the time when I'm creating brands for the first time, just to give me a bit of inspiration for extra colors in a palette, and it also gives you really cool names as well. Sort of the exact names of those colors. So let's just have a look at this. So what I'm going to do is pop in a couple of my first colors and hit the lock icon. Okay, now I can hit the space bar and it will generate new colors, and these are based on the principle of a color wheel. Okay, and once I'm happy with one, I can hit the lock icon again and hit the space bar. I can then copy those hex codes, go back into my colors area, add the colors, and press save. The third really useful tip that I would suggest to anyone who's not a website designer is to go and install a Chrome extension called ColorZilla. I use this tool all the time for many different purposes in my sort of design life. So you can go and install this extension in Chrome and be using it too. So let's say I did a search, for example, tech color palette. Okay, and in my browser now I can see what Google has brought up in Google Images for tech color palettes. Well, I could now click on the ColorZilla extension to pick a color, and I could now hover over and grab that exact hex code. I could now put that hex code into something like Coolors and hit the space bar and start to build out my palette. Okay, so there's three very simple techniques there of how you can build out a color palette for your